Hey everyone, it's me, Opinions by Mike, and today I'm here to talk about how to fix Toronto FC. So this is more of going to be just an informal video of just me talking what's on my mind, and I'm going to do this video today by comparing today's team, so today's Toronto FC team, to the 2015 to 2018 Toronto FC team. So this is the Giovinco and Greg Vanney era, which was the most successful Toronto FC team ever. So we're just going to compare and see what's missing compared to that very successful team. And if any Toronto FC player is actually watching this, please don't take this personally. I'm just a really passionate fan, and Toronto FC brings me a little bit of joy in my very busy life, so I just want to see them succeed and win. So first off, elephant in the room, Bill Manning needs to go. This is not really a surprise. From what I see online, this seems to be much of a consensus. To start off, he hired a lot of the wrong coaches. One of the worst ones was probably Chris Armas, which, by the way, how did he end up getting a job at Manchester United afterwards? Like, that's crazy. But he hired Chris Armas, which was clearly a mistake. Terrible mistake. And then he brought in Bob Bradley, which at the time might have seemed like a good hire. I think the stat was he was the third most winningest head coach in the MLS. But I was very skeptical at the beginning because I thought there would be a sense of nepotism was in the team because Michael Bradley, which was his son, played on the team, and I just didn't like that dynamic. And also with Bill Manning, he just hasn't brought in the correct players as of late. I mean, I'm just going through this list here on Spotrac, and his recent additions, Matt Hedges, although he's been injured a lot, when he does play, he has been playing well. Raul Petretta, one of the highest paid left backs in the league, again, barely even starting over Kobe Franklin, a 19-year-old homegrown. Ayo Akinola, this guy duped Toronto FC into signing him to a $700,000 contract, which is now completely screwing up the salary cap. And no offense to Ayo Akinola, I know he suffered an ACL injury, which is why he's not playing as good. But I feel bad, but this guy needs to perform better for his contract. Sigurd Rosted, he did start off well, but he's not even starting anymore. Sean Johnson, the goalie, I mean, he's been saving the team a lot, so I would say this is a neutral pick. Mark-Anthony Kaye. A lot of people online don't seem to like him, but I think he's okay. I mean, he makes a lot of good defensive plays, and although he does make the silly mistake every once in a while, overall, I wouldn't say this is the worst addition. CJ Sapong, I really love this guy. He plays his heart out every single game, and it's not his fault he can't get good service. Adama Diomande, I remember he started the first game Toronto FC played, and he just hasn't played since. Again, this guy's always been injured. Terrible addition, taking up salary cap space and all that. Brandon Cervania, again, I would say this is a neutral addition. Hasn't been great, but hasn't been terrible. Shane O'Neill. Again, not bad, but this guy can only play 60 minutes. What's the point of having a center back if he can only play half the game? Christian Gutierrez, whatever, he was brought in off IR. It's not much you can do. Victor Vasquez, this guy's 36. Why is he even on the team? This guy can barely run, but still. Nevertheless, Mabika, I think he was a very good addition. I actually think Mabika is one of the best center backs on the team. This guy is crazy tall. He's calm under pressure, wins a lot of headers, and he blocks a lot of shots, so I like that. But Bill Manning just made too many mistakes with the player contracts and salary cap. For example, he made Osorio a designated player, which at the time seemed like a good idea, but he kept that from the public. And now because Osorio is a designated player, we might not have the money under the salary cap to re-sign Richie Laryea, who's been one of the best players on this team this season. And like I said, the Akinola contract, $700K under the salary cap, that is probably another reason why we can't re-sign Laryea. And let's be real, Akinola, this guy's probably making 7 times more than he deserves right now, according to his play. In terms of the academy players, Shaquille Marshall-Ruddy, I personally don't understand why he's so hyped up. I think he's just a non-factor. Every time he gets the ball, he just passes it back. He's a neutral player on the field, but he's only 19, so there's lots of time to grow. And DeAndre Kerr, I actually really like him. He has sparks. He's leading the teams in goals, which is only 3, but still is leading the team in goals. Kobe Franklin, it's been amazing recently. Alonso Cello, again, he's been playing really good. He played against Orlando yesterday. He played really well, so I really do think he has the potential to start over Mark-Anthony Kaye. Kosi Thompson, though, this guy does not put in effort. Every time he's on the field, this guy looks like he's just there for cardio practice. I've never seen him fully sprint after the ball once. I respect Dunfield, but I just don't understand why Dunfield would put him as a center striker when he never chases the ball, never puts in full effort. Kosi Thompson, you gotta try harder. And that's another thing with the Dunfield appointment. What direction is the team gonna go in? With Bob Bradley, he mainly played veteran players, which is fine if you want to go in that direction. You have the 2 Italian stars, so you might as well go for a win now. But with Dunfield, the team has gone in a completely different direction, right? I mean, half of his team now is academy players, right? You have the 16-year-old center back Stefanovic, which by the way played amazing, and he has his signings from TFC2, all playing pretty good. But my point is, are you going to develop your academy players, or are you going to try to go veteran and win the championship? You can't have both. In terms of players, you also need to have passionate players that are brought into the system. One thing I noticed about Giovinco is that he genuinely enjoys the game of soccer, and he genuinely cares about winning, right? I mean, you can see how passionate he is, celebrating with the team. He always wants the ball. With Insigne and Bernardeschi, if you don't pass them the ball, their hand goes up in the air and they look super frustrated. From what I see, it almost looks like they think they're above the team because they played in Italy, and therefore, because of that, everyone must submit to them. I mean, one thing is, why is Insigne even the captain of the team? This guy doesn't speak English. How could he be the captain if he can't communicate with the team? That just makes no sense. Another thing, in terms of the formation, 4-3-3 with Bob Bradley. Great formation, but the problem is, when you play 4-3-3, your 2 wingers, Insigne and Bernardeschi, they get the ball way too wide. I mean, if you look at the way that Toronto FC play, every time Insigne and Bernardeschi get the ball, they're always right at the touchline. And therefore, because of that, they have to do a lot of work, a lot of dribbling just to get to the ball in a dangerous position, like the edge of the box. And because they're not that good anymore, they always end up losing the ball before they get to a dangerous position. I think this is a waste of their talent. If you compare to the 3-5-2 under Greg Vanley, where Giovinco was the 2 strikers, he would get the ball much closer to the box, and therefore he had to do less work to get a shot off, because he was already closer to begin with, compared to, for example, like Bernardeschi or Insigne, who get the ball way too far wide, and therefore they're almost non-factors. Another thing is they're just way too easy to defend. I mean, they only have 1 foot. Insigne only uses his right foot, and Bernardeschi only uses his left foot. I mean, this is obvious to everyone. Even the announcers know all they want to do is cut inside. I've played soccer before, and as a defender, it's so easy to defend a player when you know exactly what they're going to do, which in this case for both wingers is they're just going to cut in. I know that if I force them outside to the weak foot, they're not going to be able to do that, and therefore it's just way too easy to defend them. I don't know, I've been watching the games, and Bernardeschi and Insigne both could have scored so many more goals had they have taken that shot with their non-dominant foot. However, they just put themselves in a tougher situation and make the shot a lot tougher just so they can use their dominant foot, which just makes no sense. If you compare this to Giovinco is almost ambidextrous. I mean, he uses his left foot almost as much as his right, and this makes it so much harder to defend him because he can go both ways. You force him to one side, he'll just go to the other side, right? This is different compared to Insigne, where if you force him outside, you know he's still going to force his way inside. Also, both Italian strikers right now, they can't take free kicks. Giovinco was a free kick maestro. This guy could score free kicks, and therefore, when conceding a free kick, you would get nervous. But now with Toronto FC, when you concede a free kick in a dangerous position, you're not even scared because you know that Bernardeschi and Insigne have probably never scored a free kick in their professional careers. Ironically, Toronto FC could actually play quite well in the 4-3-3 if they switched Insigne and Bernardeschi's side. If Insigne played out of the right wing, and Bernardeschi played as a left wing. And instead of cutting inside every single time, they crossed the ball into the middle, into CJ Sapong as a center striker. This could actually work quite well, and would be much tougher to defend. However, Insigne and Bernardeschi, rather than them assisting the goals, they want to be the ones scoring the goals. I mean, in my opinion, I just don't think the coach makes that big of a difference in MLS. I don't mind keeping Terry Dunfield if your decision is to develop your academy players. Going forwards, I think this season is just completely lost. There's not enough games left to make a run, and even if you do, I just don't see them making it far in the playoffs. The rumor is Insigne, he hired a new agent and he wants to go to Saudi Arabia. If I'm Toronto FC, I'm selling him. Just let him leave. Cut the loss. He's not going to perform hard for your team, so there's no reason of keeping him around if he's only going to drag the team down with him. Bernardeschi, this guy, making $6 million a year, which is crazy. But he also signed a 4-year deal. I don't think he's going to be able to leave for that cost. I think you got to bring in players that truly care about the game. And in terms of DPs, I think Toronto FC should just suck it up and rebuild the team for real, and not trying to do this crazy quick rebuild like Bob Bradley did by signing a lot of veteran free agents. Try to develop your academy players, and I think that's what they should do from now on. But first things first, Bill Manning's got to go.